to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
There we go, guys. We are live with episode number 428 of the Trinity Force Podcast as we talk patch 7.6 this evening. A pretty meaningless patch all around. But we have to bring you the patch rundown because we quite enjoy doing them and we want you all to know what is happening in the world of League of Legends. So before I get into this and started, Santana, Dom, and Serial are joining me. Hello, friends.
Hey-o. Yeah, we're actually kind of bringing back the rundown, channeling the rundown because there's a big sports game tonight, USA Puerto Rico in the finals of the World Baseball Classic, which we also will be covering because patch 7.6 was so small. We're talking baseball a little bit too. I mean, none of the other three people here know that until
I didn't realize U.S. advanced. I thought
we did it.
I thought we got
Japan
knocked out,
2-1. We beat them. Previously undefeated.
Who's the starting pitcher tonight for US?
Fuck if I know. That's what we have to find out.
Oh, boy.
What else you have to find out, or another thing to find out, is what we did at PAX. And you can find that out at youtube.com/TForce Podcast. Go check out all 16 interviews that we put up there. There's some really good ones. Actually, I'm biased, and I think they are all good. But I would say go check out some of the Adult Swim games, like Ape Out, and or is that what it is? Ape Out?
Ape Out was a Devolver game, as was Ruiner. But so I don't know where you're going with this.
I was looking at the Adult Swim banners that were behind you guys as you were doing a lot of those games.
Yeah, I mean those were hanging up. We did not do any Adult Swim games personally, or at least Chris and I did not. So
there you go.
So if you're expecting to see some of those guys, that's not what's going to happen.
Go check out also the Steel Series interview I did. If you're in the market for a headset, we're going to try to get some to review if we can. They have added like noise canceling and some pretty cool microphones, at least from their sales pitch, and we'd like to give them a try. But if go check out the Steel Series interview as well. That's out there because it's another headset that just looking at and using there, I'd recommend, but without actually extensive gameplay, I can't say too much. But they're pretty cool. I mean, they are what I like about that style headset, and this isn't a pitch, we don't have one, is that kind of like if you are looking at the live stream right now, Dom is wearing a headset that's got a band that goes across the top that holds the headset on, and those are my favorite type of headsets because they're more adjustable than the traditional style one that's much like the one that Mitch is wearing this evening.
Oh, this one's not super adjustable, but it's got a bunch of.
This one.
You may know what I'm talking about. There's a band that goes across the head, and then there's that metal, or not metal. There's the bar that goes above that to keep the headset together. So that's the style they have, and I like those personally. But we're gonna try to get some of those and talk about those later. But go check them out. There's tons of good interviews, tiny builds out there. There's lots of Devolver, and I mean there's tons of good stuff on the YouTube channel. So go check out our PAX coverage. We will be actually throwing a podcast on this feed discussing PAX next week. It should come out some point next week because we'll be recording it this weekend, or at least I'll be recording with the General Gaming guys. I'm sure Mitch saw the discussion in the Slack channel at one point or another.
I saw the discussion in the Slack chat on Saturday when I was drunk as shit because it was St. Patty's Day. And I remember commenting. Yeah. I shouldn't say I remember commenting. I looked back and saw that I commented. And I didn't know if you guys recorded last weekend or we're going to this weekend.
We're going to record this weekend.
Okay, I'm going to a horse race, so it's going to be much the same.
Gotcha. So, yeah, Wonderful. Let's just jump into patch 7.6 because it's a pretty quick... it could be a quick episode, but I won't say too much about that. So
a lot of surprise bug fixes in this. In combing through and making the document, there were a bunch of changes that didn't get documented in the main patch notes that I was like, no, that's important. That needs to get at least like a line item that people will see, because most people I think skip right over the bug fix stuff. But it's like, no, that's kind of a big deal. We'll get to them when we get to them, but yeah, I mean, there are, I don't know, like 5 or 6 that I ended up throwing in.
Let's talk about Masteries first, because Warlords gets another change in this patch. And we previously discussed it, and that it restores health equal to 3 to 40% of your total attack damage, and crits count. So if you crit, you get double the amount of lifesteal, essentially, when you crit. But it takes into account the opponent's armor and any other stats.
No, it doesn't now.
No,
it doesn't now. It did before, because lifesteal does do that. Now you're restoring health only based on your attack damage, not a post damage or post mitigation damage.
And the critical strike is affected by crit modifier. I'm sorry, the critical heal, quote unquote, is affected by crit modifiers. So you will heal for double your total attack damage, and then if you have an Infinity Edge or the crit rune, the bonus crit damage runes, then you will heal by 1.25 as opposed to 100% bonus.
Yeah, that might. Okay, I see what. You'd get up to 100% of your total attack damage if you critted with an Infinity Edge, because it's 40% times 2.5. You'd get.
Yeah, and then if you have the crit runes, it's more.
Oh yeah, if you go crit modifier runes to pull off like a higher heal on this, that's some next level thinking. I also think it's terrible next level thinking. So we
don't endorse that on the podcast.
Yes, we don't endorse thinking, first of all. But I did some quick math.
Running those runes?
No.
Like now that I think about it.
No.
I don't think anybody ever has that knew what they were doing. The quick math that I did, just because I was curious, like a 380 champ with Infinity Edge, if he crit on that at level 18, would get 300 health back. Like literally, as we said, your entire AD. That doesn't seem like that outrageous of a number to hit on an 80 carry. I mean, of course, if you're talking Jhin, and we have said that Deathfire Touch is probably still the better one. Jhin could end up getting crazy heals, but if he needs to heal for a shit ton, he's probably already dead at that point. He's not like he's kind of either full health or no health, I feel like.
Yeah, it's gonna be corner cases for Jhin, but specifically, I think again Caitlyn gets a buff off this because she gets headshot proc in lane.
No, she gets nerfed because of this. Because this no longer affects headshot procs. That's the goal of this change. It's because there were all these weird outlier cases like Caitlyn and Fiora and anybody with Sheen that were getting bonus lifesteal every time that Warlords was available. And this change removes that bonus.
Well, she's still like the IE auto ADC.
And that's fine, but she's not getting the bonus from headshot anymore. So she's not getting this big bonus in lane or anything like that and everything. Your attack damage is the percentage of your attack damage is what you heal for now. It doesn't take into account any more of those modifiers.
Oh, this just makes Draven scarier. That's what it does.
Makes Draven better. It makes Yasuo better, because a lot of Yasuos have been switching over to Warlords in some cases because they realize they don't need the extra damage from further. They just need to not die, and they'll kill everyone. So they've been switching over to Warlords. So this is a nice change for him too.
It makes a lot of people better. I mean, and it also means that you're no longer a victim of the target of opportunity. Like, you don't get screwed if the only person you can lifesteal off of is the tank that's barreling down at you. Like, and you're not eventually going down because they're, mitigating so much of that damage and everything. Now, like, hey, big chunk of health coming back your way, irrespective of their itemization. Like, it's an overall really big change to this mastery, even if the numbers still seem not as friendly as we'd like.
Well, and something that I want to clarify is that we're not advocating for Caitlyn to not take Warlords. We're just saying that she doesn't get as much out of it as she previously did. But it's still
at least early
mastery to take from her, or take for her rather.
Yeah, she doesn't get as much out of laning.
It's getting rid of the free stats that people have been nerfing. Riot's been nerfing forever. Like, they don't want to just have one person be so good with it.
I like this on Draven a lot. I think because Draven already wants to go in and he wants to stay full and healthy. Obviously, wants to stay healthy. It'll be nice.
Draven's been building like Bork and Bloodthirster first a lot from what I've been seeing. Because I remember Arrow pulled it out this weekend and he built. I want to say Bork. I'd have to double check, but Draven generally goes lifesteal anyway early.
Would that work with Bloodthirster? I think. Oh yeah, lifesteal overheals you. So would the overheal work on that early on? Like, you essentially give yourself an extra health pool that you can, even if you're not hurt, you still can benefit from that. It says your lifesteal over. I've just pulled up the stats on it. It says your lifesteal over heals you, converting the excess healing into a shield. So I'd assume that you'd be able to like build it with that.
I mean,
Obviously, you have a bunch of lifesteal when you have Bloodthirster, but like
at the very least, it's probably a case where, if nothing else, the healing from this would apply first, and then the healing from lifesteal would be factored in second. Mm-hmm. And so even if this doesn't count as lifesteal for the purposes of Bloodthirster, you still get that heal first, and then you overheal into the shield. I would hope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if we have any info.
I'm thinking that like the fact that when you go in to start a team fight and you should be at full health if you're an AD carry, I would hope, unless you've really made some mistakes or gotten poked down a little bit. You obviously in that same token, you've been moving a bunch. You should have your Warlords proc ready. So instead of, I'm not saying that everyone taking Warlords should have Bloodthirster, but I think that it kind of amplifies that first auto attack. It not in sense of damage, but in sense of getting your shield already probably to full or close to it, if that does work like that.
You're still talking such niche scenarios, because the only person who's building
It's not a niche scenario.
No, any person that's building, no one builds Bloodthirster except for Draven, right? Like none of the AD carries ever build Bloodthirster anymore, because you Blade of the Ruin King if you want the lifesteal now. Like Bloodthirster is a waste of item slot on an AD carry.
Well, early, yeah.
Well,
I agree.
Fifth or sixth item, sure, you could build a Bloodthirster.
And like most games are not really getting to that point. And Frank, in fact, if you're at that point, you're probably better off going Guardian Angel.
True.
No, like the type of like if games are really, really going that long and everything, the odds are better that you are just better off coming back to life, because you're probably getting gimped right off the bat, and then
that's a different discussion point. I don't like Guardian Angel on ADCs.
I'm talking like bronze, low silver. That's where you're gonna want it.
Even still.
Where they'll blow the payload and not realize you're going to be coming back to life, and then hey, you came back to life, and now you can do stuff uninhibited.
Well, let's talk about something else that comes back to life as the game progresses. Red Brambleback has had a change in this patch. His magic resistance has been reduced. It was 15 to 30 at levels 1, 4, 8, 9, and 10. It is now 10 to 20 at levels 1, 3, 5, 7, and 8, meaning he's easier to kill if you're doing magic damage.
Woo!
Yeah, and that was supposed to so they said it matches Blue Sentinel's armor, so it's kind of making it so that you don't get, I guess, it's not obviously harder for magic junglers to take red buff early. I think that's smart. Like five resistance gone it's not huge, but it's definitely very, very helpful.
Chunk. I mean, at least never had problems, but
I feel like this helps a lot of those the champs who are like dealing AoE magic damage,
like Zach.
But aren't necessarily building a lot of ability power or magic pen or anything. Yeah, like this doesn't really help Fiddlesticks that much, because he was already building a whole bunch of AP. Like, I mean, it helps him, don't get me wrong, but he's already building so much AP that at a certain point he wasn't really caring about the negligible amount of magic resistance that Red had. But yeah, exactly. Like Zach, Mumu.
I think it's the first clear is the main thing.
Yeah,
I think it helps
definitely.
the first clear significantly, because it's, I mean, a
Five
third,
less.
five less, I think is pretty big. And when you're talking about first clear, where the difference in that could be a couple auto attacks off, like maybe even one auto attack quicker is already a big deal.
It does give a slight edge. It does give a slight edge to bottom lanes that are running a magic support as well, or an enchantress or something like a Karma, Lulu, whatever it may be.
I mean, even most supports still just have a lot of magic damage in their kit. Even Leona and Braum, their abilities are doing magic damage.
Sure. So yeah, it does allow you to clear red a little more quickly, which hopefully shifts. Well, I was going to say hopefully it shifts.
Oh yeah, what
if
that does shift?
But it might shift blue side
stuff?
to be a little more powerful too if they're taking red more quickly. Then blue side can take blue.
I mean, it's going to matter at your top tier play a little bit, because I mean, Elise, Gragas, we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence of Nidalee, an AD version, but she still does magic damage in her first clear. I mean, those things can clear really quickly and early. So I mean, the MR reduction on red buff matters for those champions, but overall, just in general solo queue play, I don't think it's nice, but it's not going to be like, oh man, now if you're on blue side and you start red buff, you're going to get to top lane 10 seconds quicker or something.
It's a change that no one will notice except for the
exactly.
top
I don't think people are going to pay attention unless they read patch notes.
Right.
I bet this matters for plat above.
Yeah, what is it possible? And I haven't check numbers much in the last patch, that like AD junglers were just owning, like they were owning the player rates, owning the win rates for a while, and they're just like, let's maybe scale it down and try to swing it pendulum a little bit back.
No, because like Gragas is like really good again. Elise is always
but that's
good.
not. He's not getting played a ton.
Zach's pretty consistent, but like, I mean, think about your junglers you see a lot. You see a lot of Lee Sin because everybody wants to be Insect.
It's Lee Sin, Graves,
Graves,
Kha'Zix, Hecarim, Rengar.
Rengar.
I mean, it's all physical.
Yeah. Warwick in there too.
It's just a way to give a boost to any of those that are doing magic damage to allow them to try and stay competitive at some point. So
maybe you'll see an Amumu in your game sometime, Serial. Maybe.
I saw enough of it first. From 1 to 29. Also that.
Well, let's talk about our changes that happened in this patch, or the changes that happened in this patch. Aatrox, if you didn't already know, he got hot fixed previously, where his Dark Flight and his Blood Price both had a change. So Q had the cooldown reduced, and Blood Price had the base damage go up. And this was previously when we played, so we already talked about where Aatrox is at, even with these changes, and we don't need to
health
spend
got bumped up too.
Yeah, and health got. I mean, yeah, and so the change that happened in this patch is that on reviving from his passive, Aatrox now has a full Blood Well, and Aatrox now no longer loses his third hit from Blood Price Thirst after reviving.
That's pretty cool.
I guess it's nice.
Punch and Sean are not here, and they're the guys who've played the most Aatrox of anyone.
The big one is the reviving from his passive now gives him a full stack of Blood Well, which allows him to continue to do damage if he's able to stay alive. But generally speaking, when you die, you're trying to get out of the fight anyway.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of... So no, somebody else talk for a second. I need to look at old Aatrox for a second.
Well, and it also these are some pretty nice changes. I mean, they don't make Aatrox better in the sense that he's going to see a fuckload of play and his win rate's going to go up, but they're nice changes. Like Aatrox no longer losing his third hit if he gets revived means he comes up and he can heal automatically with an auto attack, and he has the empowered passive going on at that point because he has a full stack of Blood Well when he comes up, so he would potentially survive when he comes up. But it doesn't really change too much, because if you're dying in an engage, it's likely an engage that was gonna go poorly. I mean, of course there's always those weird things where you die and then there's this weird skirmish or whatever, but like overall he needs some other quality.
Give him his old passive back.
Changes.
Give him his old passive back, and I think he's fine again.
So essentially revert to where he was.
Because right now it's really hard to maintain your passive. Like, you can't jungle him, essentially, because your passive is just...
We learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you can't keep it up. And in lane, there's a nice, 3-second window, like, oh man, I'm super strong, I can go in. But it's just... I just feel like if his old passive was on his kit with the changes they made, it'd be a lot better. And I
don't know. Coming up, this might be a bigger deal than I was thinking it was. Coming up and having that 25% increase to your, well, it's base AD, but
right,
that's the problem. And then all the bonus attack speed.
And potentially your third hit, sure.
So one thing I was just checking was how Blood Well worked previously, because you did, obviously it drained previously and was draining until this patch. And previously you got percentage attack speed based on how full it was. But I think that this just helps him way more. Yeah, in the situation you're talking about where he gets killed, but if he doesn't have that, he's kind of useless right when he comes out of stasis. So he needs that. The change to that third hit is very nice, because you're just getting punished for getting... I shouldn't say you're getting punished for getting killed. Sounds like a really weird cop-out answer. Of course
you're
you do.
You're being punished for reviving.
Yeah, exactly. For using your passive, this seems kind of stupid. So I like those changes. I think that's just good quality of life things, I think, more than anything.
I wonder if he's supposed to be getting Sterix now.
I don't think people know what to build yet. They don't understand how to build them yet. And I want to see what happens.
Just seeing the way that passive is phrased, I'm like, well, hold on. Sterix actually helps him out on that, that one damage side. I don't know. It's not that good of an item otherwise. Cheap though. Cheap as fuck.
Yay, cheap Sterix.
Let's talk about Gnar. Gnar had some changes. Health regen while he's mini has been increased to 4.5 health per 5 seconds from 2.5. Health regen while in mega has been decreased to 4.5 per 5. Health regen growth as Dom is in here and I can't see in mini.
It's just everything got normalized. It's not you don't have higher in mega and lower in mini for both regen and regen growth.
There you go.
So it's just even across the board.
It's even, but it makes it better when you're in mini. Is what it is.
Yes, 100%. You can also now Q spells better, or Q spells during Mega Gnar's E, like his jump. So I think that's probably to start either his ultimate or his W mostly. I mean, obviously you could use Q too, but like you want to jump in and use your CC pretty quickly on him. This is one champion that I actually have played, so I feel not unqualified to talk about him.
Yeah. It's nice for Gnar because I mean, mini form he has I think the lowest base HP in the game. Am I mistaken on that? I know it's like abysmal.
I would say he has probably lowest like growth. I think that might be, or sorry, regen. I can check.
Yeah, he had low regen and he had a low base health pool because when you were landing against a Gnar, you would just want to all in him early, and then if he doesn't back, he's just sitting there and he doesn't have the regen to really get back into the lane without potentially dying. And this is going to help him a lot. You're getting roughly, depending on when you take your first back, about a free health potion of just regen now. And most of the time you're spending your lane in mini form as your main harassing mode.
Quick point of clarification. He was tied with Soraka for the lowest base health regen. He was not anywhere close to lowest base HP. That award goes to Kled, although they're a little,
that doesn't really count.
But even then, Anivia, Heimerdinger, Lux, Sona. I mean, there are a lot of champions.
What you were thinking of, Santana, is that Gnar has the lowest base HP at level 18 because of his mega. Like when he transforms, he gets so much more health from that. But yeah, I mean, so makes a lot of sense. I like the change, and you honestly spend. Like while you do spend a good amount of time in lane in mega form, like you don't spend enough that this isn't a buff.
You mean mini?
No, you spend more time in mini form than you do in mega.
You spend more time in mini form so that there's no way this is not a buff.
That's
sorry. There was a lot of negatives in there, and you add the mini versus mega part too. So it's like there's a lot of crosstalk.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Gnar's right on the cusp anyway, with a lot of tanks being played in top lane, and he generally has pretty good tank matchups because he goes Cleaver, Frozen Mallet,
and he shreds percentage.
Yep, with his W. So definitely, if he's not there, he's really really close to being, again, like pick ban worthy.
Right. I like these changes. I do think they bring it back. I'd be surprised if we didn't see Gnar after patch 7.6, either competitive or solo queue anywhere.
We've seen him in a couple games competitive wise now.
Sure. So Quinn had some changes on this patch as well. W heightened senses bonus attack speed was 20 to 40. It is now 20 to 80 on a Harrier proc. Additionally, behind enemy lines, which is her R, the Sky Strike damage is down to 40% of the total attack damage from 100%. And after putting at least 1 point behind enemy lines, Quinn respawns as Valor after deaths for the rest of the game.
That's really nice. Actually, that's a nice huge. Like that saves you, 2 seconds? That was the channel time on that.
Yeah, as someone who's played a fair bit of Quinn, it was always annoying going back to or respawning. Be like, all right, now let me hit R. I guess I'll buy my items because I didn't do it while I was dead for whatever reason. Okay, now I can go. Sky Strike changes.
That's actually a really big deal. Like you're gonna get delayed.
So Santana, you'll know better than me since you played Quinn, but this seems like these changes seem like trying to move her away from being that like when she was going full lethality, she'd be able to just like burst the shit out of people super quick. And they're trying to make her have some sort of like play more like an AD carry with a bit more damage over time. Not damage over time necessarily, but like.
But do more than one auto just to get your bonus damage proc in and kill the person. Yeah, I mean, Sky Strike was a big chunk of damage once you had 2-3 items. You were essentially one-shotting people, sometimes just off REQ and Thunderlord's proc because lethality. The shift to more attack speed on Harrier proc it's not going to matter until probably level 14, 15, because you'll max E second over W. So it'll help in the later game split pushes. 80% attack speed is no joke, and Quinn can already shred towers decently fast.
Yeah, she's in a split push, and you get an extended fight, like that's a big difference maker there. But yeah, she's not showing up from the darkness and then somebody dies.
I mean, they still will. She still does a ton of damage just on E and Q.
Right, but now she's got to shoot him a couple times.
Yeah, now she's got to like auto.
With behind enemy lines, I realize that a 60% nerf on the total amount of damage she's doing is quite a bit, but is it such a big difference for many of the Quinn players? I mean, she really wasn't building that much extra AD. It was a lot of lethality and...
Well, that has a lot of AD built into it, too.
Sure, it does, but it doesn't... it's not like you're building Eye Edge, for example.
Keep in mind that in a lot of cases, Quinn is showing up when a fight has already been going on, and so all of a sudden there are these weak targets that she is just blowing up, and she's not going to be able to do that as easily because of this considerable damage reduction here. I mean, I think that was the actual goal, was trying to... I don't even know that she deserved the bonus, the attack.
She's pretty good in solo queue because again, she destroys a lot of the popular melee matchups. She doesn't have like an insane play rate or anything, but she's been top table win rate because of the lethality changes for a while now. Probably a fine nerf. I think 60% is a bit harsh, but I can see why. Also, it's AOE.
Sure. Well, let's talk about Cho'Gath then. They keep trying to make Cho'Gath happen. Stop it, Riot. Cho'Gath's not going to happen. It's not something we have to spend too much time on. Bonus health per stack has gone up at ranked 2 and 3. It was 80, 110, 140. It's now 80, 120, 160. And the minion small monster cap is up 1.
Woo! You get like a free ruby crystal in health, kind of.
So if you're enjoying Cho'Gath and you're doing well with solo queue, congratulations, you have extra buffs. I think we can.
And you're the only one.
That. It doesn't do too much. Illaoi can no longer spam W harsh lesson to ignore the cast type of E test of spirit. There you go. You can no longer insta cast your E.
I mean, like poor Illaoi, because she already has. Illaoi's such a weird champion. I feel like she should be so much better than she actually is.
Yeah, I think she's really good. You just have to commit to learning how to play her.
Absolutely. Yorick, when Q last rights and power base attack crits, the basic attack portion of the damage is now properly modified rather than the bonus damage.
Which, cool. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Yorick was probably chunking people really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Santana, what you said pre-podcast is I don't know why more people aren't playing Yorick.
Yeah, because
feel like he could be a solo queue terror.
I mean, not a terror per se, but definitely a stronger champion than I think people are still overlooking him because he suffers the same problems a lot of melees do. He doesn't have a gap closer. He's got to really be in a range to do anything besides like throw some ghouls at someone. But in those top lane melee matchups, he gets Triforce and then he just kills people, and people don't respect that.
And incidentally, if you are going to start playing Yorick, don't go the Manamune route. Like, just don't do it. You.
Oh god, that was ages ago. Yeah.
No, I know that was old Yorick and everything, but Sean was still doing it, and then I played games with Sean where he kept doing it, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to stop doing that. I was just useless for way too much of the game." And then by the time he was just destroying things, it was too late. He wasn't gonna single-handedly drag us back into it.
Early Triforce, get your Sheen on first back if you can.
Yeah, man.
With your Q, it's pretty good. So.
Well, let's talk about Fiddlesticks, who benefits from the other changes in this patch to Brambleback. And that's Q Terrify cast range has been increased to 575. W Drain, if Drain's target dies before the channel completes, the remaining duration is applied as cooldown reduction. So
that's nice.
Yeah, some really good changes coming out of Fiddlesticks. It doesn't give him any extra damage necessarily coming out of the jungle, but it makes him better in ARAMs, that's for sure.
He's better in solo queue now. He's definitely better in solo queue.
Yeah, he's fine.
The little extra range on Q will give you, if you're so inclined to, you can kite it a little bit more to take less damage on your clear before your drains back up. I mean, he's getting there.
I'm curious to know what applied as cooldown reduction means.
So I'm
assuming you just refund that time.
Yeah.
I assume. Like each,
So if there's, like,
second that was left on your drain would just be taken off of the cooldown. Off the cooldown.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as there's like 2 seconds left, like you get 2 seconds added on or reduced from the next time you can use drain or whatever.
Because you could interpret that to mean like percentages and that type of stuff.
Oh, sure. But I think it's just
the reason
flat,
I bring
like,
it up.
1 for 1, a second for second.
So this Q range increase also puts it the same range as drain again, which I think is a very important.
I was going to ask, does it put it to the outer edge of his ultimate, because that's important as well.
Wait, the outer. I can give you that info in a second.
Because I think drain is the same.
It's close, but it's not. It's so the crow radius is 600, so you're damn close. Like you might as well be, but there's a little bit of edge of crow.
Yeah, that's
you can't quite get him.
That's super helpful for Gex having that extra
definitely.
50 range. Super.
Oh
helpful.
yeah.
I like these changes. I like these changes a lot. I like Fiddlesticks jungle. I mean, I don't like playing.
There's a lot of
a
lot of quality of life like things that like changes that make sense this patch.
Yeah,
like things that you're like, wait, why don't we have that already? Things.
Also, this patch there's not a lot of nerfs. We had the Quinn nerf, and that's
which was even helped with kind of a buff too.
It's kind of like a lateral movement for Quinn, but yeah, it's a lot of buffs this patch, and it's a lot of small things because I believe this is the patch LCS is playing playoffs on, so they didn't want to do anything drastic.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about. So there are some bug fixes that we're going to talk about right now that were not in the major. They're in the patch notes, but they weren't in the major list of it. So if you read them, you may have missed it. Orianna E command protect. If an ally dies while holding the ball, it now drops in place rather than returning to Orianna. Which is that's a great quality of life buff. So if anybody jumps in and dies mid jump, the ball stays where the person died rather than the sombrero happening.
Yeah. Buff in some cases, nerf in some cases. I mean.
It's an overall buff. Yeah. I really don't think which way.
Yeah, if you were intentionally playing around the fact that the ball was going to snap to you when your ally died, you were on some serious next level shit with Orianna.
Yeah, sure.
I think most people were getting really we're getting screwed by it. You know, the sombreros like Adam described, or even just times where you thought, you thought you were in range and then your ally went down and oh fuck, now my my movements are all.
Yeah, I'm just talking corner cases again. Yeah, like if for whatever reason, like you shielded your out of position ADC with E and then he died, you have a snapback for W in case you're getting engaged on. Again, corner cases.
You also like are keeping the ball off of somebody, like, and that snapback is extra armor and MR. I'm pretty sure.
Correct.
So you are losing that. I know that. Again, that is very very corner, but
that's so
but
corner.
it's not like Orianna doesn't get anything for having her ball with her.
It was so corner
right.
No, it shouldn't have been mentioned. I'll be honest, because 95% of the time, if somebody's jumping in and it snaps back, Orianna doesn't need any of that extra stuff that is hitting that is coming.
Sure.
Right. So Victor fixed a bug causing our Chaos Storm to fizzle on death. Quality of life change.
I've had this happen a couple of times.
The funny part is that they were saying like it is a bug, but there was some other change along the lines. So we're deciding to call this intended behavior, but we're going to fix it in the next patch. I'm like, isn't that just a bug then? What's the deal?
Wait, they said that?
Yeah, the way they were talking about this, it was really, really weird.
Yeah, because I've definitely had games where I've R'd somebody and, like, for whatever reason, got, like, one shot by Kha'Zix behind me, and then I'm like, but where'd my R go? That person should be dead.
Yeah, I've seen. Okay, I was thinking when I've played, I've never seen that happen because I have died and remembered my Chaos Storm just kind of chilling out where it was last targeted to, but.
So fixed a bug where R chubbed the waters on Fizz wouldn't slow enemies properly when the shark erupted. Just what he needs. His kit to actually work.
Top lane Fizz is a terror right now, so.
That's always. LeBlanc, Mimic R, Shadow of Rose cooldown no longer resets when LeBlanc casts R Mimic if she died between casting Shadow of Rose and casting Mimic. So for
LeBlanc's got other issues.
Yeah.
Nivea Q Flash Frost slow no longer overrides the slow from Glacial Storm, giving movement speed back to the affected enemies. So, so if you're in Glacial Storm and you pop somebody with a Q, the Glacial Storm overrides the Q now. Or the slowest slow stays.
Yeah. So would you guys believe me if I told you I've noticed this in game?
I'm sure. Yeah.
I would believe you.
Well, I'm lying. I haven't at all. But I was just curious if
I would believe
you. Well,
yeah.
The
the bigger changes
Santana had pointed out earlier, being that this is going to be a playoff patch, is that support Misfortune has pretty much been gutted with these changes. So double up damage.
Why do you say that?
That was last patch.
Oh, you mean the last patch?
Or
last
last
patch,
patch,
yeah.
This is all buff.
You're right. I had my patches mixed up. I apologize.
That's okay.
Q double up damage has been increased just slightly. It was 20 to 80, is now 20 to 100. Ratio has gone up to 1.0 of total attack damage. Cast range now adjusts based on Misfortune's attack range, so it's like rapid fire cannon, which is nice.
That's cool.
Misfortune no longer briefly pauses after casting double up.
Some Lucian going on here.
And same thing for E. She doesn't pause after double up, which matters for support MF.
Make it rain.
How many other marksmen are running into that issue then, and they're just going to start smoothing all of it out?
There's no cast times anymore, boys.
I mean,
That's what happens with the mid-season update.
Caitlyn still has her on Q, but that's intended. God,
No,
who
we're not
else?
talking cast time. It's the delay after you cast the ability.
That's what I'm trying. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's still intended, I think, on Caitlyn. I don't know who else has anything, because Vayne has no anything like that.
Twitch W, maybe?
Maybe, because he does have that after animation where he just kind of like got his little arm in the air after he throws the cask.
Right. That's the only person I can really think of is Twitch W. I'm sure I'm missing one somewhere in there, but so yeah. What I should have said is nerfed Misfortune last patch, trying to push her more into the 80 carry role with these double up changes. Since
she's never building rapid fire cannon though. She's still building straight lethality.
I like that. I think is more just so that you don't feel bad for building rapid fire cannon if you do go that route. And they've changed other champions to be in line with that. So frankly, it's kind of sad she got overlooked for this long. I mean, I don't know. She's pretty. I'm pretty sure she's fine and was fine even after all the nerfs and everything. So this
run of the mill, you can make
this makes her a little bit better. It might push her right back into the top 10.
Yeah, it's not too much to say about it. Varus has had a change as well. Piercing Arrow. The cooldown refund on Blight proc was 4 seconds, scaling down with cooldown reduction, but now it is a flat 4 seconds. So something like Essence Reaver, Varus doesn't get additional cooldown reduction.
It's actually this is a straight buff because it was scaling down. So if you had cooldown reduction, you'd get less of the cooldown refund. Previously.
I read that.
It was basically trying to sandwich it in such a way that it was more or less always. I think it was
the same percentage. The same percentage.
Yeah, it was the same percentage.
And now
you benefit from cooldown reduction.
Definitely.
It's like Tarek's kit basically, and or it was like the way Tarek's kit interacted with cooldown reduction, and now it's not.
Yeah. Buff for Varus. He's still played. He's still fine. They just switched the build to Bork Hurricane.
All right, so World Baseball Classic.
World Baseball Classic. That's right. Yeah, that's your patch 7.6 essentially. As we said early on, not too many big things going on. You shouldn't really see too much effect from this going to solo queue. Maybe some Gnar, maybe some Fiddlesticks. Might take a little while for people to pick up on those changes, except for the people that have been playing quite a bit. I do want to, before this shorter episode, talk about the... it's not a rating we got, but some feedback we received from Rick, which I thought was really neat. He wrote in and said, I wanted to give a shout out to you guys because you have helped me a bunch over the last couple of years. I started out stuck at the bottom of Bronze 5 in Season 5. But between one-on-one coaching and helpful tips from the podcast, I was able to get to my goal last season of Silver. I'm happy to say I actually made it up to Silver 3, and I don't think I could have done it without you guys. So, awesome. Rick, that is awesome. I love to hear that.
For you, man.
Mm-hmm.
If any of you else out there have any of these kind of awesome feedback, we love to hear it. We want to hear how we are helping you at all. And you can specifically mention in there how bad I am at reading patch 7.6 patch notes. I'll be honest.
That'll be a weird thing. 7.6.
It is.
Been bad at reading most of the patch notes.
I want to point out Lucian and Nasus. So I'm gonna leave that there.
I didn't say you were bad at predictions. I said you're bad at reading.
I think it's gonna be funny.
I was agreeing with you on all those predictions all along.
What the fuck are you doing? Checking boxes off screen?
So I have a green screen, right? And I can totally make this. I can draw a little box. I can write Lucian and Nasus, and I can go check.
Except no one can read it because you just wrote it backwards for the audience. Yeah.
No, I wrote it backwards with my finger. My finger wrote it like the correct way, but it was
totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all
Guys, so coming to you this next season, the mid-season update is not only going to be for Riot, it's also going to be for the T-Force podcast, where Adam puts together a lot of post work into these video podcasts.
That's No, I probably unfortunately I probably won't be here, so I'll be here for a bit to do that.
No, that's okay. We can outsource it to somebody.
That's
because I'm not doing it. Fuck
I
that.
can use
In my
Snapchat
defense,
filters.
In my defense, I have been preoccupied because today I did find out that Mary and I are having a girl, which is very, very cool.
Congrats.
Good job. Way to go.
What nerdy name are you going with?
Her name is going to be Charlotte.
Okay, that's not as nerdy as I expected.
And I am working and twisting the gears to get Elise as her middle name.
Okay.
There you go. I like that.
I lobbied for Leona as her primary name, or first name, if you will, but that didn't go over so well.
I can't imagine why.
Neither did Katarina, and I can't do
Cat's
Evelyn.
I like Cat.
Because we already have an Evelyn in the family.
Oh.
I also tried for Illaoi, but that didn't really go over well either.
That one would be a little bit trickier.
And then I tried to push it to a middle name, and it still didn't, they didn't level
I mean,
up.
you can go with Morgana.
I'm not a big Morgan fan.
Could you maybe go with like a French pronunciation of ergot with like ergo?
No, I
Bully
think we're gonna keep it.
Still spelled the same way.
Thanks, Mitch.
Trying.
I think we're going to leave it at that, guys. That's episode number 428 of the Trinity Force podcast. A short one for you this week. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Galio discussion that we had on Monday. Next week, we'll be back with some more tips and tricks and whatnot. And keep on the lookout as well on the LCS rundown feed, because we have the CLG, the Devin Price. Is that what his last name? No, it's
CEO of CLG.
Yeah,
is his full name.
The CEO of CLG had an interview with Chris Alphanar, formerly of the Hearth of the Cards podcast, and it was about it's not about mindfulness, but it's about self-improvement and the future of CLG, and it's a very, 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 very good interview, and you can see how the CEO of CLG takes a look at life, and that's on that's going out, if it hasn't already, out on the LCS rundown feed.
Believe it's out.
So we will
we also
our YouTube video is.
We also have I'm recording a Blitz Champion Select episode on Friday, so that should be coming out to you guys maybe this weekend. I guess we'll see.
Potatoes duo Q partner.
Yeah, we got Brian. I got him. His name in my phone right now is Brian Blitzcrank Boy. So I don't really have anything else. I don't know his username yet. So
cool.
That's what we're going with for now.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Trinity Force Podcast. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/TForce Network. We will see you all on Monday. Peace.
Bye.
Later.